Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. How are you doing? Double check how we are doing technologically. And uh, yes, we're good to go. Hi, good morning. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a good week. We are talking about what money can do and enable in qualitative research today. The topic is one that I covered last year when I presented the webinar, The Five Mistakes That Lead to Unpublishable Qualitative Health Research. This year, for the webinar that will be launching QRB, I am not talking about that topic, but I decided to cover as a blog post for a couple of reasons. It is an important one, and if you have any questions, please let me know. We'll go into details about the content of the blog post and the budget estimation guide. And that's the other reason. The budget estimation guide is a bonus that was available to everyone who took QRB in the fall last year. And we have revamped the budget estimation guide, have made it more user friendly, added a calculator that can allow you to easily input your numbers and think through the aspects of your study and the cost that applies to your study. And that budget estimation guide now is a bonus to those who are on the wait list or about to join the wait list for QRB, or who attend the webinar live next week and decide to join us for the next cohort. So with that set aside, a lot of the things that I will be talking about here today are aspects and things that I am including and talking about in more detail inside the budget estimation guide. Um, so let's start about talking about why money is or funding is important in qualitative research. I think the main reason and one that I always flag is the fact that people and you as a researcher or as a graduate student, a research team with coordinator or assistant, you are the greatest asset. Your participants are very important, absolutely. And sometimes they also represent aligning your budget. But for sure, those who will be carrying the intellectual interpretation and moving through data collection and analysis are key to a successful qualitative research project. And that piece, people, people's time, people's money, people's time, people's competency, competence, training, that costs money. And it is why money does matter in qualitative research. It doesn't mean that we invest in high technology. It's not about necessarily equipment that is the state of the art or facility that is the state of the art, but we need people and skilled people or people that we need to build capacity and train to become qualitative researchers require investment, and that investment means money. So, inside the budget estimation guide, and something that I want you to keep in mind how we structure the things that go under each, I would say, big area of your planning. We encourage you to think about the researcher and the research team, the participant, and the reader reviewer. And you are thinking about the things associated with each of those areas. So each budget line that would go under those areas. So for the researcher, for example, you would be thinking about staff, and are you going to hire people as casual? Are they going to have be employees for a certain time? And if yes, what does that mean in terms of the benefits and the grade or the salary staff that they will start at? And what does that mean for your budget estimation? Training. Are you going to have graduate students? If Yes, what are they going to be paid and how much? Every university is different. Here we call a stipend, and we do have a minimum stipend for PhD and master's students at the U of A. I think that's different across universities. So what we do inside the budget estimation guide is to encourage you to think through those aspects without giving too many details that would be applicable to what the situation in this scenario would be here in Canada at the U of A versus somewhere else around the world. We know it varies a lot, and it also varies in terms of the opportunities that a trainee, especially a graduate student, would have to look for funding independently and outside of the study. You would think about the things in the researcher and the research team, and that includes other things as well, like travel costs if you're going to a certain place to conduct the research. All of those things would be listed there. Then we have the participant side. And this is one that might also vary significantly from setting to setting, whether you're going to compensate your participants per hour, whether you're going to give them a gift card, the amount of money that they will receive. And recently, especially in community based and patient engaged research, it's quite common to have communities, organizations, or a patient that is brought on with a more structured fee and almost as a salaried person to participate and support the research. So keep those things in mind because it does matter. Like, what methods are you using? Are you going to be going back and seeing people again and again? And if that is the case, what does that entail in terms of the costs associated with however you're compensating those participating in the research? And another thing that we all kind of have in mind is any software that you might be using for transcription as well as data analysis. And with some of the recent studies that I have supported, we did invest money in someone who is a consultant to help us with recruitment through social media advertisement and also setting aside a budget for social media advertisement because that's not free either. So those things are things you need to think through and consider. And of course, when we get to the reader reviewer side, you will need to think about potential journals. If you want your publication to be open access, accessible to communities or to niches that don't, or I would say, are unlikely to be able to access a publication through a library or university system, what will that mean? How much will that cost? The average publication cost is quite steep right now, and some journals are in pounds, others are, like in general, mostly are US dollars, but we also have some European journals that are in pounds. So you have to think about those aspects. And the other aspect that comes with a reader reviewer is, again, depending on the level of engagement and community participation. Are you going to have community review, and what will that entail in terms of planning costs associated with meetings, with discussions, etc.? So lots of things to consider. And we do make it easier. We say, I think the budget estimation guide, especially the revamped one, is making it easier for all of you um, to think through aspects of your qualitative study and to work through them and plan accordingly. Now, one thing that we need to go and talk about, and that's the type of thing that I talk with you here inside the group, and that I didn't write on the blog post because, well, because I wouldn't write on the blog post. There are certain things that we know that funding agencies say no to. Or sometimes they will put a cap, so a limit, on the percentage of your budget that can be allocated to people and staffing. And yes, that's a bit problematic for us qualitative researchers, especially if what we need the most is people, either researchers or participants, and most often both, right? So you if you are with me and you're like, yes, I'm glad you are addressing that. Yes, I am aware of that. What I encourage you to do is to think strategically and, oh my gosh, I'm going to say that on a live, uh, and tiptoe the gray area with as much comfort as you can. What am I saying? I'm not encouraging you to do anything wrong, but I'm encouraging you to be strategic in the sense of, for example, if you are, if you have an opportunity to have transcription services allocated in your budget and to go under another line, for example, that is not people, would it be possible for you to pay transcription services to someone that is a bit more involved or that becomes a consistent person in your study, or one person who does all the transcripts and can potentially be involved in discussions about the data? So what am I saying? I'm saying that in theory, that person is not a staff or someone you are hiring to conduct the study, but are you able to use that assigned amount of money, that budget line, to add a verification strategy, a way to add validity to your data by keeping that person a consistent one that works with your team, with you, and also who can tell you what she's seeing in the data. So it is tiptoeing. It is gray. I acknowledge that. And I think that in some situations, you would need to be very careful about navigating those decisions, uh, because, you might be audited in the future and you don't want to be in a situation that you can't justify something. So the spending needs to be justified. What I encourage you to do is to really strategically choose your service providers for whatever spending you need to do in a way that potentially you are adding rigor to your qualitative research through those people who are involved in a capacity that is not necessarily as a staff person or as a graduate student. So that's one thing that I would highly recommend. And the same thing that the same thing that I mentioned, it would probably be something that you could think for different aspects of your research. Right now, there is not much cost associated with meetings in person, right? Like we are not meeting in person, we are not bringing snacks to the table. Unfortunately, I actually think food for qualitative research is such a welcome. It creates such a welcoming setting. Snacks before a focus group or an interview are an invitation to sit in a more open way, in my personal opinion. But I'm also very biased about food because I love food and I have a background in nutrition. Uh, but in any case, you're not spending that money that way. So with that in mind, would it be possible to have a conversation with a funding agency and say, I am not spending money with snacks and food and traveling and parking for my participants, but I really need someone to support the technical part of running a focus group over Zoom. One of the QRB members from last year, she had a tech support for her Zoom focus groups because she did something that was highly complex. She did world cafes and she needed help creating breakout rooms and facilitating them. So I think there is also now, with the current situation, to go and ask those questions. Like, we are not going to spend money on this, we need this to replace, but it's not necessarily a product or food or something. It's someone. How do we do it? How can I make this happen? I think you can, in most cases, not always, I know, find a way to work within the systems that you have. So that's all I wanted to share today. I hope you find this helpful. And I will actually correct myself because I said the budget estimation guide is available to everyone. It isn't. It's not. It is a bonus to those who enroll in the next QRB. But I do have plans in the future to make that one of the resources that you would be able to buy and access on the website. It will be for the future, not for right now. I am also hoping that the more people use this new version, the more feedback I will get that will help me work with Jazz to make the budget estimation guide a stronger resource for those of you who are using it to budget and plan your qualitative research project. So that's all I had to share today. As you know, I am super excited. I'm slightly nervous because our system that sends out emails is having some glitches and issues, but we are so close to opening enrollment for Qualitative Research Blueprint 2021. I am so excited about all the things that will be happening there. It will be a lot of fun. It will be engaging because I want to build community. So it will be there will be some like games and unexpected fun things that we are doing this turn. And if you were thinking about it, feel free to ask us any questions. And if you want to hear more and a lot more, I would say details about it. We have now a page that has a lot more details, and I can share the link with you. If you join anything there, like it's not open for registration, so you would be joining the wait list. So that's a possibility. And if you're thinking that it's time for you to make that investment in your learning and to join um, me for a lot more contact and support, I would be so honored to have you. And it's exciting. I am super pumped about it. And you have no idea. Like we've worked hard to make the experience stellar to the students. Just like I try to make the experience also amazing for those of you who are here as part of this group. So it's a different type of involvement, but you already know me, you know my teaching style. You see me every week here, so it's not different. It's not another person. It's just closer and more contacts with this person and my team as well. Yeah. Have a good day. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments when you watch this or send us an email and we'll be happy to answer your questions. I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you next week. We'll be here next week. Not a change. It will be actually it will be a very special Facebook Live because yeah, we'll be actually talking about some of the things that I'll be covering on the webinar that I'm presenting on Tuesday. I would still encourage you to sign up for the webinar if you're interested, the 3 keys to impactful qualitative health research. But if you are interested in hearing and in a more formal way, because I do see the comments here faster and I can respond and interact more with you, come and join me on Wednesday. And for those of you, I see some of the QRB alumni, you will be getting an email later today. And to those of you who were members last year, we are inviting you back because the bonuses are different and the format of the community queue chats are going to be different. So you should be getting that email soon. And I do hope to see some of you back inside the new cohort. And I think it will be super fun. So let me know if you have any questions. I can definitely answer them. And I'll see you soon.